Well, hello. Welcome to my second video. Again, I'm using a different camera this time. I don't know if it's going to work as well. But I wanted to just tell you a bit more about the guitar I've built and show you the things I've done wrong, which is almost everything really, and what I hope to try and put right in the next one I'm going to do. So this is the guitar. Let me just take the tuner off it. Now, superficially it looks okay, and it does sound. It sounds really, really good. I'm very, very pleased with the sound of it. But to run through some of the things which I'll say this was the first attempt, and I was expecting to make a few mistakes, but not quite as many as I did make. Starting with the top. The top is spruce, and it's a very, very soft wood, relatively speaking. And I wasn't really aware of how soft it was, so when I didn't protect the work surfaces. So when I was actually working on the back and putting the bracing and stuff like this on, the front was pressed down on the work surface, and the work surface wasn't as tidy and clean as it should have been. There were little bits of wood on it and little bits of things that only small, but of course when you move the surface round on top of the work, it marks it. So it took a lot of sanding to get it off, and I thought I had got it all off. And it looked really good before I put the finish on. And it's only when you put the finish on you realise that you haven't. I mean, there's quite a nice little mark down here. There's some sort of I think it's black sawdust off the rosewood actually got into the grain of the wood. It can be got out, or it could have been got out easier if I'd have sanded it more carefully and looked a little bit harder before I did it. But I thought the finish might have taken most of that out, but it didn't. Nothing that can't be repaired. I can take the top back down and redo it, so that's no problem. Same on the rosewood. Exactly the same problem with the back particularly. There are marks in the back which I could have sanded out a little bit better. The other thing is I wanted to finish, which I wanted like a matte finish, but I wanted it so that the grain still showed through, the grain itself appeared. So I thought I'd do it without filling the grain, and that was a big mistake, because as soon as you put the finish on, the grain sort of expands and it becomes too obvious. So it took a lot of work to try and get the finish anywhere near acceptable. It's not too bad, but I could have done a lot better with it. Some of the other things, when I was cutting the binding channels, I was very, very timid, and I wasn't checking that the binder, the binding tool, the router itself, was accurately set all the way around. So the binding channel is wider in some places than others. So I had to use some filler in it, which it didn't too bad, but some of the filler, you can see some of the marks in the filler, where again it's not been filled as well as it could have been and not been sanded down as well as it could have been. One thing I wanted to do on the guitar, and that worked out really well, I was really pleased with that, I didn't want to put a piece in the back, because the grain it's bookmarked rosewood, and the grain matches up beautifully across the back, and I really, really like that. The purfling went in really well the second attempt, really good with that. I tried to clean up the bridge, and I've gouged into the woodwork, which again I'm not very happy with. The neck itself, the neck comes as like a pre-shape, but it's very, very roughly cut. And I had to take a lot of wood off, and it still wasn't right, and I took a lot more wood off. But still, these wore off. I've actually bought another tool now, so I can actually profile it a little bit better. So although it's okay, it still needs some more wood coming off, which I will do. I will do a lot more work on this guitar, as and when. But again, the biggest problem was the alignment of the neck, because I put too much of a bell on this. And again, that's something I can easily cure on the next one. But the rest of it's not too bad. I'm okay with it really. It doesn't, you know, if you look at it very, very critically, you'll find lots and lots of mistakes. But then again, I say it is the first attempt. But the sound on it, it sounds excellent. I want to change the nut. I want to make the nut spacing slightly narrower. Not actually change the width of the neck, but the string spacing. Just bring them in a little bit, because the two E strings are very, very close to the edge of the guitar, which makes it a little bit easier to get a buzz on it if you don't hot fret it properly. I also need to lower the string height at the nut slightly as well. I might actually put a 0 fret on it. I'm still working on that. But this is something I'm going to be doing in the next few months. It's not something I'm going to do immediately, because I'm still letting the guitar settle down. I'll see how it goes, but I've had a few weeks of it now. I've been playing with it and I enjoy playing it. It's a nice guitar. It sounds good, but it could be better finished. And hopefully the next one will be. So that's this guitar. The next one is going to be a little bit different, because this was mainly made from a kit. I've made a lot of changes to it, but it wasn't built mainly from a kit. The next one isn't. The next one is actually being built from parts. I've had to compromise a little bit, because some jobs I can't do. I can't bend the size of the guitar, so I've had to buy those pre-bent. I can't shape the neck. I haven't got a bandsaw or any facilities for actually cutting the neck out properly, so I've bought a pre-shaped neck with a pre-cut dovetail, so that can fit in. But I'm not kicking myself too much about that, because all the big manufacturers, they use CNC machine necks anyway. Martin, Fylde, Gibson, they all use these CNC cut necks and dovetails, so they all do it. It's not completely hand built, but you know, it's the best I can do with what I've got. What I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this video here now, and what I'll probably do is I'll do another little one of me, a little workshop, just to show you where I work. Yeah, I think you'll be quite surprised just how small the space is that I've got, and what little tools you actually need to get the job done. I'll call it a day for this one there, and I'll show you my workshop on the next video.